What's going on, guys? Back at you again, and we're gonna go right through these picks, and we're gonna start with the Chiefs and the Texans, I guess, because it's there on the screen for us. And I think the Chiefs are gonna win that one. I'm not gonna waste too much time on that. I just don't think the Texans are just on that level yet. Their defense is good, but they're just not on that level to stop them. I mean, with the rig, they can make anything happen, but in terms of just talent, Houston, they have like some guys, but it's not the full team. Like when you look at a team like the Chiefs, they literally have a guy at every position that could start on anyone's team in the league. Not many teams can say that. Like not even the Ravens can say that, or the Bills. The Chiefs can say that. The Lions can probably say that. The Eagles can say that. And after that, there's really not that many other teams I can say every one of my guys can start on anyone's team. It's just not feasible. So they're just gonna out roster them. I think the Chiefs will this game. Because the Texans, let's face it, they still need another draft or two and another two free agencies before they can really be that powerhouse. Like they're knocking on the door, but they're just a little shy. Remember when you were I don't know, like 6 years old and you wanted to ride on the big Ferris wheel, but you had to grow another couple inches. You have to wait a year or two. That's the Houston Texans right now. They're that little kid waiting to get on that Ferris wheel. All right, next we'll go Lions Commanders. Same thing with this. I can say the same thing I just said over there. I just don't think the Commanders are on the level of Detroit. And Detroit, they're missing their best defensive player, Aiden, which is a travesty. And that's probably why they did that on purpose, probably to give the Chiefs the edge on winning, or the AFC team the chance of winning, because they're missing their best player on defense. It's easier now, whatever they make up. It's just a storyline. But in this case, the Commanders, their roster just is not enough. Their coaching, I would take Detroit's coaching over Washington. But Washington, their coaching is much improved from last year. They have two head coaches on the staff, so that always helps. But the balance of power might butt heads, but it seems to be working. Other than that, I just don't think the Commanders have enough. No one can really name who they have. Like unless you're like a football fanatic, you can't really name their defensive players. You know what I mean? You could probably name, like, on offense, Terry McLaurin and their quarterback, maybe Eckler or Brian Robinson. But not many people, you don't know this team. You know what I mean? And that's just the way it goes. That means the NFL isn't marketing them like that. So, and on the Lions, we basically know everyone on that team. So that's why I think the Lions are going to proceed. I think they want to give us a Lions-Chiefs Super Bowl this year. Because we already saw Chiefs-Eagles. We've seen, the Chiefs-Niners. I don't think the Commanders are going to make it. And the Rams aren't good enough. So that leaves the Lions, you know what I mean? I think the Lions will finally make it for the first time. First time ever? Oh, will the Lions win it for the first time ever? Nope, Mahomes wins. You know what I mean? I already see how they're going to do it. But I'm going to wait till Madden shows us so I can just do it for a fifth time. But yeah, I think they're trying to set us up for Mahomes to beat the Lions. And I said it. Remember when Aiden Hutchinson went down? That week he went down. I was like, there it is. They want the Chiefs to beat the Lions in the Super Bowl. And the reason's going to be because Aiden Hutchinson's not there. Now they have no pass rush. And he's just going to be back there just doing whatever he wants. And they're going to be saying it the whole game. Oh, if they had Aiden Hutchinson, he wouldn't be able to do this. Oh, man, they're really missing Aiden Hutchinson this game. They're going to keep saying that, guys, when the Chiefs play the Lions in the Super Bowl. Or I should say if. I know I'm being cocky. Like, it might not be them, but it seems like they're drawing this out for a three-peat. You know what I mean? We saw it with Michael Jordan, how they did it, how they were on his balls. Same with Mahomes. It is what it is. All right, next we'll do Eagles, Rams. This one, I'm torn with this because, excuse me, because the Eagles, their offense looks terrible, guys, but they have names all over the place. Like, everywhere you look, they have a name. But the problem is, they have no cohesion. You know what I mean? Ever since Shane Steichen left, they have no one really to turn to really get them where they need to be. It just feels like when you watch the Eagles, it just feels like they're just calling plays. You know what I mean? There's no flow, there's no scheme. It's just like, do this and then do that. We'll try this and we'll try that. It's not like, all right, we're going to work this in. We're going to jab away with the run. We're going to keep running, and then we're going to hit them with the play action. No, it wasn't that. It was, all right, we'll do a toss now to Saquon, and then we'll do a screen to Saquon, and then we'll do a 5-yard out to Saquon. Like, everything is just through Saquon, and like now the receivers aren't getting the ball throughout the game, and the quarterback isn't in the flow of the game because everything is going through the running back. You know what I mean? That works in college, but in the NFL, later in the second half in games against great teams, heavily leaning on running backs is going to get you beat. You know what I mean? That's not going to work against, I don't think, the Chiefs, the Lions, you know what I mean? That probably won't work against the Bills or the Ravens either. Hell, that won't even work on the Texans doing it like that. They might get away with it with the Rams only because the Rams are playing with all young guys. All rookies, second-year guys running around. No one knows anything. You know what I mean? They don't know what they don't know. Bunch of kids running around, so they just don't know. They're inexperienced. Same thing with the Commanders. Same thing there. So the Eagles, they were in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. They got a lot of guys on that team that's still there. A lot of guys left too, but that's not the point. The point is they seem to be more primed to do it. Even though I trust Matthew Stafford more, he's a champion before the Eagles, you know. So I trust Matthew Stafford more than Jalen Hurts. But who is the NFL marketing more? That's the question. I don't know. I think it's Jalen. Even though the Rams have a nice little young team, Stafford could still play another 5-6 years. You know, he's only 35. Quarterbacks play in their 40s. We're seeing it already, so you know he's gonna do it. So, in terms of who I think is gonna win, I really want to pick the Rams here, guys. So much so, I really truly do. But I don't think it's gonna happen because I saw where the money was, you know, and usually where the money is, it goes opposite. Obviously, that doesn't always happen. That's not always the case. You know, about 33% of the time, they let the the money win. You know what I mean? The side with the majority of the money, they let that side win around 33% of the time. So it's a low percent. So 66, 67% of the time, it goes the other way. So you're better off betting the other way, but sometimes it's not going to work out. That's why I'm kind of like, I don't know. Because if the Rams won, like I said last week, if the Rams win, don't be surprised. It's Sean McVay, it's Matthew Stafford, they're champions. They got Puka Nacua, you know what I mean? They got Cooper Kupp. Those guys get open instantly in man coverage. If you blitz them, which they probably won't blitz this week, Minnesota blitzed every single play, it seemed like, and they got beat on the blitz. Flores literally blitzed every single time, and they weren't even good blitzes, and they were just getting beat and gashed every time. So I highly doubt the Eagles are going to blitz this week once they saw it didn't work. If the Eagles blitz this week, then you know they're throwing the game on purpose. So that's what I would say about that. So I guess I'm going to pick the Eagles. It's a safe pick, but honestly, thinking about Eagles and Lions, that wouldn't even be a good game. I think the Lions would spank them. Like, I just don't think the Eagles and Jalen Hurts are as good as people say they are. Like, but at the same time, I don't think the Rams have enough to beat the Lions. Even though I like what they have, I still think they're a year or two away as well to being back at the big game. But at the same time, the Eagles, their roster is stacked. You know, every position they're stacked. They got a guy. You know, so I think as well the Eagles might just out-roster them. It might just be a little too much for the Rams to handle and the experience. So I'll pick the Eagles. So far we got the Chiefs, Lions, and now the Eagles. Last game, This is going to be the best game of them all because the other 3 games we just talked about, they all had either 6-point spreads or 8.5-point spreads. So that tells us it's going to be a blowout or a high scoring disparity in the gap. So watch out for that. And this game, Bills Ravens, was only, what is it, 1.5-point spread. So it's going to be a tight game, this game. They're going to keep everyone glued to the television till the last second, probably. And they have the Ravens favored, and the money is mostly on the Bills. So everyone thinks the Bills are going to cover that and essentially win. Me, I'm going to go Ravens because I just think it's going to be tough to stop Derrick. To stop Derrick Henry. How are you going to stop a guy like that? I just don't know. It's going to be freezing in Buffalo. Would you want to be a guy out there trying to tackle this guy 20, 30 times a game in that freezing cold? The first couple tackles, you're like, all right, I got this. But then the 10th, 15th, 20th, the 25th tackle attempt on this guy? Can you imagine, guys? Think about this. This guy's closer to 265, 270. 6'3", running full speed at you, running hard. Those thighs, those knees coming at you. Imagine trying to hit him 25 to 30 times in a game. One game. Just think about that. You're throwing your body into that 25 to 30 times. Think about that. You think that's feasible? Even though it's rigged and scripted football. Even with all that, just still think about that. For a whole playoff run, having a guy like that, it's just an advantage in the playoffs. The games slow down and people run the ball and play defense. That's just how you do it in the playoffs. Why? Because the coaches are trying to shorten the games and get home and get out of there. They just want to win the game. They're trying to do quick, cheap plays, guarantee safe plays. That's what it is, because you don't want to turn the ball over and lose the game. So when you see them throwing the ball a lot, throwing picks, they're doing it on purpose. Guys like Rich Gannon throwing all those picks in the Super Bowl, that's not a coach trying to win. That's a coach losing on purpose. Why would you ever throw the ball that much in a playoff game, Super Bowl, or anything like that? Doesn't make sense. So I'm gonna go the Ravens here. Not that I don't think Buffalo can't win. They absolutely can win. I just think the Ravens have a little bit more this year as they did last year. But at the same time, who knows? Maybe they want us to see Josh Allen versus Mahomes again. That's fun to watch. But Mahomes versus Lamar is fun to watch when Lamar is playing like Lamar. If Lamar plays like he did last year, I'd rather not see that game, honestly. Because Josh Allen would be a better watch. It just would be, even though they would come up short. But I would like to see the Chiefs versus Ravens, with the Ravens having Derrick Henry. I think the Ravens have a real shot at beating them. Which is why it might not happen. They might let the Buffalo Bills win just so the Chiefs don't have to deal with that. And then I think the Chiefs want the Bills to win is what I'm saying. The Chiefs would rather play the Bills than they would rather play the Ravens because they don't want to have to deal with Derrick Henry. And then you got to deal with Lamar running and throwing accurately. That's a nightmare for anyone. Not saying that Josh Allen isn't a nightmare. I'm just saying, as a defensive coordinator, I think you would be up all night a little bit longer for the Ravens than you would for the Bills. Because with the Bills, you got young receiver. Well, they do have Amari Cooper. He gets lost over there. But other than Amari, you got a bunch of young guys trying to figure it out. Tight ends, still young guys. Offensive line, you know what I mean? Kind of a makeshift line coming together. And then you got Josh. Everything's on his shoulders. So you're basically just trying a game plan to just slow him down a little bit. Whereas with the Ravens, you got to worry about Lamar. You got to worry about Keaton Mitchell, his speed. You got to worry about Derrick Henry. You got to worry about those little receivers, the speed receivers, the Batemans and all them. You got to worry about Mark Andrews, who's basically the second coming of Kelsey. And Mark Andrews is probably the best tight end in the league right now. Kelsey's up there in age. He just isn't what he was 2 or 3 years ago. he basically just saves himself for the playoffs. Mark Andrews is there all year, just going crazy. The Bills, no one in the playoffs has a tight end like that. There's no other team with a tight end like Mark Andrews. But I will say this: the Eagles, not Josh Goddard, but Goddard. I forget his first name. Dallas Goddard. He's a good tight end as well. He doesn't get enough credit, but Dallas Goddard is a good tight end. Who else? The Chiefs. We know about Kelsey. We'll see if he turns it on. The Texans. They have a decent one, but if they get a better one, they would let him go. The Eagles, I just spoke about who they have. The Rams, they have Higbee. Higbee's okay. Lions, they have Hawkinson. Commanders, I don't even know who they have. I think they have like a rookie. And then, the Ravens have the best tight end because the Bills, they got Knox and that other kid. So, Mark Andrews is the best tight end. So I'm gonna take the Ravens, guys. I'm just taking the Ravens. I'll live with it. And the better games are definitely on Sunday. But other than that, guys, thanks for watching and join me for the conference next week.